Hello, my name is Noelia, and today I'm going to teach you how to make this delicious Honduran dish. It's called Pollo con Tajadas, Pollo Chuco, Pollo Cibello, however you want to call it. Hope you make it because you are going to love it. So let's begin by frying up some chicken. Here I have 2 thighs and 2 legs, and this is enough for 2 people. I am adding some slices onto the chicken so it will cook more even and also to speed up the cooking process. And if you don't feel comfortable frying up your own chicken, you can just go to Popeyes, Church's, whichever one is your fave, and buy their fried chicken, and you can use it for this dish. It will come out just as good. And now let us season our chicken. Here I am adding 1 tablespoon of chicken bouillon. This one is my favorite and it is from the brand Maggi. I'm also adding 1 tablespoon of garlic salt, half a teaspoon of cumin powder, half a teaspoon of black pepper, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, 1 teaspoon of paprika, about 1 tablespoon of hot sauce. Here I'm using Louisiana hot sauce, and my secret ingredient, mustard. I know it sounds disgusting, but this gives it a really nice flavor and also a nice color to the chicken. Now let's use our hands so we can spread all of the seasonings around and make sure that each little crevice of the chicken gets enough seasonings so this chicken can have all the flavors that we are looking for. Now I'm going to cover up this chicken and set it aside while my oil heats up. And now onto a semi-deep pan, I'm going to add just enough oil that will cover up half of the chicken. Here I'm adding canola oil, but you may also use vegetable, peanut, or corn oil. And onto a separate pan where I'm going to cook the bananas, I'm also going to add the rest of my oil. And we're going to warm it up, and once it's bubbling, we're going to add our pieces of chicken. And I'm only going to add 3 pieces at this time because I do not want to overcrowd the pan and cause the chicken to boil instead of fry. And while the chicken fries, I'm now going to prepare all the toppings. First, I'm going to start off by chopping up some cabbage very, very thinly. And once I have enough for 2 people, I am going to put it on a dish and set it aside for later use. And for our next step, we are going to make a chimol, aka Pico de Gallo. We call it different in Honduras. So we chop up the veggies, add half of a lime, and we're going to season it with some salt, black pepper, and cumin. And we're just going to stir it up and place it aside for later use. Let's take a quick break to check on our chicken. It is crispy, and don't mind if it does not look great. As long as the taste is great, there's no problem. And onto our next topping, which will be a tomato sauce. I'm going to add a spoonful of the Pico de Gallo that we just made and half a cup of my favorite tomato sauce. We're gonna stir it up. Now we will add half of a cup of chicken broth. I have some leftover chicken soup which I will use, and it already has a whole bunch of flavor, so I felt like I didn't need to add anything else to it, but you may add some salt, pepper, and cumin to flavor it up. Now we're gonna let our sauce simmer, and once it's done, we're gonna close it off with the lid and set it aside for later use. Now for our next topping, we are making a pink sauce. We are adding 1 tablespoon of mayo, just a tad bit of mustard, and about half a tablespoon of ketchup. Now I'm adding about half a tablespoon of my favorite hot sauce. You can use whichever one is your fave. This one is from Nando's. It's a peri peri, whatever you call it, and it's delicious. I'm also adding a little bit of white vinegar, and I'm mixing it up. I like to taste my sauce to see if there's anything missing, and there was. I'm adding in a dash of sugar to cut the acidity, and also a dash of my favorite Creole seasoning. This is Tony Chacher's. And I'm mixing it up once again. And once the sauce is done, I'm going to transfer it onto a Ziploc bag, and I'm going to make my own DIY piping bag so I can pour the sauce on top of our pollo con tajadas much easier. So we'll close it up with a sandwich closer, and we'll set it aside for later use. And now we'll check on our chicken. Once that the chicken is browning and crispy, that is when it's done. It's cooked perfect on the inside. So we'll get it out and set it aside on a napkin so we can strain the oil out. And now we'll work on the base layer of our dish. These are green bananas. They are the counterpart of a yellow banana. They're just green, and they are different from plantains. Usually you can locate them in your local Hispanic store, but if you cannot find them, then you may just use a regular green plantain, which are much easier to locate. So this is the way that I open them up, and it is a very tedious, and you will mess up your nails. So yeah, do not feel bad if you do not get this technique in your first try. It has taken me years to kind of master it and to do a clean cut to the tajadas. So once we have peeled it, we are going to slice it, and this is why it's called a tajada. It's basically just the name of the shape that we will be cutting the green banana or green plantain. And your cuts should look like this. So we are going to add it onto hot oil and fry them up. And do not leave from your workstation because they may burn very easily. And we're gonna turn them once they start to look like an off yellowish off-white color and they start to crisp up. And this is what they look like once they're done. And we'll set them aside to dry off and remove the oil from it. And now for our last topping, we are going to grate some cheese. This is a stinky, very hard cheese. Preferably, you would use one from either Honduras or Nicaragua. They are very similar tasting, and you can find it in your local Hispanic store, hopefully, if there are Central American products there. But if you can't locate them, you may use Parmesan, or I believe a Pecorino Romano, if I'm getting the name right. So now we can begin to plate. The first layer of our dish begins with our fried green bananas, and you may add as many as you would like. Second, we'll add our fried chicken, and it really does not matter what our fried chicken looks like because we'll now cover it with a bed of shredded cabbage, which will hide the imperfections. And next, we'll add on our very hot tomato sauce, and I like my dish very saucy, so here I'm adding a second layer of it. Now we'll add a couple of spoonfuls of Pico de Gallo Chimol, and we'll spread on our white yellow sauce on top, and just a little bit of your shredded cheese. And here is the final product. Let me tell you, this pollo con tajadas turned out so amazing, so delicious. I'm pretty sure that if you recreate it, you will love it just as much as I did. And here I am taking my first bite, and here's a little close-up as well. And just dig in, and here is my little happy dance because I loved it. I hope that one day you can recreate it and you enjoyed me sharing a little piece of my country to you. And whenever you do, I hope that you have a buen provecho, and thank you so much for watching. Have a good day.